Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of Against the Ropes. I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter, RichQ on Q, and of course, Tumblr on Q Sports. We'll continue to talk a little sweet science in my backyard, in my neck of the woods on the East Coast. Philadelphia, PA, we go, and a great welterweight joining us for a couple moments. The new Ray Robinson, currently ranked 8th by the WBO and has just been racking up wins left and right. He's kind enough to join us for a couple minutes on this edition of Against the Ropes. And Ray, first and foremost, I know you're coming off that big fourth-round TKO win against Edgar Sosa. Let's go back and talk about your big win. I thought your coming-out party against Alice Landbeck-Kozov, a 24-0 undefeated European fighter who you really just dismantled. Was that your coming-out party, Ray?
Actually had beat that 4 rounds. We knew he was going to be a tough guy. You don't always get the stoppage, so I just want to let people know that I'm always in shape, and to beat that guy, to go 12 rounds the way we did, it went down to willpower, and who had it, who trained the hardest, who had the bigger than mine that I'm not giving an edge, and that's what I had in my head. I wasn't going to give an edge when I stayed toe to toe with him. In my head, it was just it was work time. I know I put in that hard work, but it was just time to show everyone that all the hard work I put in. So I was happy that it came down to that. It came down to who was going to break first.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting because obviously I'm ringside with Amir Mansour calling the fight, and you dominated him, but when I say you had to work for it, he just didn't go away. And obviously he was a compact, immediate fighter. It seemed as though as a smaller fighter, he was content with just trying to get inside. And again, you've got that southpaw and you were just content with just kind of letting him come inside and eat some punches. I thought right around the third round, it was evident that he was going to continue to walk forward. In your mind, when do you say to yourself, you know what, this guy's tailor-made for me?
Honestly, all the tapes I've seen of him, he's a good boxer. He outboxes the guys. So I thought that this was going to be that kind of fight. I thought we was going to counter, like, he was a better counter puncher. I know he normally put a little bit of pressure, but this is, I got to say, probably the most pressure I've ever seen that he put on. So, this is a good example of you doing your homework and you can adapt to anything. And I feel like that's what I had to do. I had to adapt because I did my homework on him, but he changed up his style when he fought me. He put a lot of pressure on me. And I've seen him fight tall guys before, so, me having that amateur background, me listening to my coach, me learning how to adapt, really helped me out, really helped me pull this win out, such as I found out that he was going to bring the pressure, he wasn't going to stop. He was just like a freight train, man. He just kept coming, and I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to outbox him and then train him and make him start all over again. And then in a couple rounds, I went on the inside with him. I think that's what surprised him. And it kind of surprised me. I started beating him on the inside. I think that, my hands were too fast, and he turning them and standing on the outside. Me standing on the inside actually helped me out. I did some damage because I started going to his body and his hands started dropping. And then when I went back outside to outbox him, it was a tad bit more easier. He lost that.
Couple minutes with the new Ray Robinson joining us on Against the Ropes. I'm Rich Quinones. All right, so we move past that. We go to the fight that I also had the pleasure of calling against George Sosa. That was a TKO in round number 4. That was slated for 10. Now, I know Vic Iwasaki sometimes will jump in as an early ref. You were soundly beating him. I was a little shocked that he stopped it at exactly the point of where he stopped it. But again, the bottom line is you came out, I'm sure you probably wanted more rounds, getting a little more work, but you overwhelmed your opponent, you dominated your opponent. Talk a little bit about what happened in that Sosa fight.
I just feel like some fighters, I'm at a point in my career that I'm ready to, step up to the top fighters, and I feel as though that he wasn't on my level, to be in the ring with me, and I tried to prove that. I wanted to dominate. This was the fight that I wanted to show people that from the Russian fight, I got stronger. My legs got stronger. I'm much faster. I got smarter, and I wore my guy down. I've seen a couple of takes up on him too. Like I don't slip up on nobody. I always do my homework on these guys, and I feel like this guy could take a good shot. He has a good head shot. He can, and I can tell he was tough. So, from the beginning, I wanted to go to his body. I wanted to let him know that I really wasn't concentrating on his head. I wanted to go to the body. And I know a lot of people say, oh, that might have been an early stoppage, but you got to think about it. A lot of guys, you guys are not in there. I feel like the referee warned him many times. I'm not sure if y'all guys heard the referee, but the referee kept telling him, like, you have to show me something.
Yeah.
You have to do something. The kid wasn't throwing back. And I mean, he was taking punishment to the body, and then I believe in the second or third round, I wound up wobbling him XFL. So the thing about it is I had 5 more seconds. I could have got him out of there. So, I feel as though that I did really good, such as sitting down on my shot. I wasn't trying to loop on my set down, and I landed some really good body shots.
It's a fair point you bring up. I mean, it's definitely a fair point, and it's easier to see from our vantage point. I did go back and I looked at it a couple times, and you're right. I mean, it was a guy that you had an opportunity to dominate, a guy that's dropped a couple coming into that fight, and you kind of took care of business. Now, what I want to get into a little bit is that a lot of people, when you look at the welterweight division and you look at the way the division is stacked up, I don't think a lot of people know who Ray Robinson is. And if you were to make the case, not that you need to me, but if you were to make the case why you are the most dangerous boxer in that division right now, what would it be?
My work ethic. How hard I work, how hard that, I came off of 2 losses back to back. Normally, as a young guy, that would break anybody, especially, me going through promotion issues and management problems around that time when I had my 2 losses. So that normally would break anybody and just say, like, this game ain't for me, the amateurs was, but the pro game, it just wasn't for me, or anything like that. I could easily throw it down, and I don't see me never doing that, because I got that Philly heart. Anything outside of the ring. And, I knew it wasn't going to break me. I knew I had to go back to the drawing board and work a lot harder. I had a couple holes in my game and my week, when I first started, So I feel as though that I knew I had to work on a lot of things. So my work ethic is number 1. I work extremely hard to get where I'm at. And there's no quitting me. I feel like I'm tall, I got power behind me, I'm fast, and I'm slick. I know how to fight in the inside, I know how to outbox you. So I feel as though that I got a lot of heart. I don't run from no fighters. If you look at my background, I fought some of the tough fighters, man, that people was like, absolutely not fighting him. This is not good for my career. This is not, and I was the opposite. And I was like, bring them on. If they think they're the best, let's work. And I feel like I deserve my shot. I feel like I paid my dues, such as, fighting, a bunch of people that say, oh, this guy, like, for example, Ray Nard, before he fought me, he was a big thing. He was huge. Olympic alternate. A big one off of Ronald Cruz. He held a couple of titles. He fought on Showtime on HBO, one of them. So I know he had a big name. And, me, beating him the way I beat him, I didn't just win and just got lucky. I actually was winning a fight, and then I knocked him out. So that just shows you that I know how, when it's time to step up, I can step up to the plate and knock a home run out. So I feel that, you see a lot of these fighters now, they pick and choose, or, when they first do step up, they can have an 18-0 or 20-0. And when they first do that, their first challenge, they get beat, they get embarrassed, or they get knocked out. Because they're just not used to that type of fight. And I feel as though in my young career, I got kind of thrown to the wolves, and I turned out to become one of them wolves. I was okay with it, I got thrown to the wolves, and I survived. And I'm still here kicking, and that's the reason why I feel like people should get to know my name and get used to saying it, because I am one of the top, welterweights. And people that don't know it, throw another wolf at me, and I can show you better than I can tell you.
It's funny because you mentioned Raynar, and when he comes off that big win against Ronald Cruz, who coincidentally Cruz is going to be in action against Earl Spence. So you got this weekend you got a stacked welterweight division, but then you bring up a guy like Jesse Vargas. I mean, a lot of people are wondering, okay, Jesse Vargas is getting some shots here. I talked at length with a person you're very familiar with, Dave Tiberian, Champs Management, yesterday, and he told me, look, I mean, we want to try to get Ray the big time fights. The last time we spoke, you mentioned a Manny Pacquiao. What about a guy like Tim Bradley? That welterweight division is stacked. Do you just think it's a situation where you need one or two more fights to get notice, or do you really believe that when someone calls a Pacquiao or a Bradley and they say, hey, we can get you a fight with Ray Robin, those guys just say, no, we don't want any parts of them? Or does the truth lie somewhere in between?
To me, I fight Tim Bradley too. I wouldn't have a problem with that. He's one of my athlete teammates, and we went to school together in Marquette, Michigan. I love to fight him. I feel as though that everyone is being protected, man. To be honest, no one. I know back in the day, I love boxing, the old school boxing. Because back in the day, the best for the best, and even if you took the loss, no one really took that step backwards. If it was a good fight, win, lose, or draw, the fans want to see it again. And that's how I was raised. That's how that's how I like. I feel as though that a lot of people is protected because they're like, oh well, I'm on my way out. I want to make a couple more dollars. If I fight Ray, I might not make that. That jackpot, or that guy. He might show too much of me. I might can't handle me, and let everybody know about the holes in my game. So I feel as though that no one wants to take a chance. No one's going to take that risk because because now boxing, you take a loss, you take 10 steps backwards. So I feel as though that it kind of make it hard for a fighter like me. I become a prospect. I become a fighter that actually deserve a shot. A lot of people don't want to take that chance. I'm tall. I'm starting to get punches on. I got a nice little power on my punches now. I'm quick. I know how to adapt. I know how to fight inside now. I know how to make it a war if I have to. I can make it, gritty. I can go there. I think that, I got a good chin. People see me get off the canvas, I believe twice. One I won, and the other one was a very close fight against Sean Porter. I could have ran and tried to survive. I thought he woke up a lion, and in my head, I told my coach told me to outbox and stay away. I told him, let's go get this win. Let's, have him have to knock me out. He got to deserve this win. And I feel as though that, a lot of fighters don't got that, and I do. A lot of fighters, might got the speed, might got the power, but a lot of fighters don't got that willpower, such as, when they get cut or when they get dropped, it kind of takes something away from them. It actually, if you throwing gasoline on a fire, man, it actually throwing a fire under me to make me say, this is what I love. This is what I was born for. And so a lot of people, that's it, man. A lot of people just don't want to take chances no more. I get it, it's not the old school anymore, but I kind of do wish it was because I know I would have been had a shot if it was one of them old school fights. The best is supposed to fight the best. If I deserve a shot, let's give me my shot. And I feel as though that I'm still waiting in line because I've been knocking on doors. I feel like Tiberian they give me opportunities, and I've been kicking them doors open. So I guess I'm just waiting with my phone on loud, waiting for that phone call.
So when you look at some of the guys who are above you, I should really say the guys that are ranked lower than you, so to speak, like a Brandon Rios, a Mike Alvarado, Lopez, a Andre Berto, a Solomon again. You'll take a fight with these guys, but the question is, taking a fight with these guys, is that going to get you in line to where you need to go to take on like a Bradley, a Porter, a Thurman, someone like that? Because right now you're ranked 7th, as low as 6th in sub-publication. So the bottom line is there's Early Floyd, there's Bradley, there's Porter, We just saw Guerrero with a great effort and a slugfest, and Paulie Malignaggi might not fight again. So then, boom, then there's you.
Yep. Honestly, it's a blessing to. I remember when I first got into the game, hearing about the guys. It was a blessing to even have been mentioned in that type of, the class. So that just shows you that, my hard work and dedication is really paying off. I deserve, this is boxing. This is still a business. I deserve, a shot at a big title. I deserve that money fight. I deserve that, what I worked so hard for. I've been boxing since I was 8 years old, and what I overcame, I could have easily, went a different way. I actually stuck to something I absolutely love. And I'm doing a good job at it, I'm turning ahead. I just feel as though that, I'm at the point in my career that I deserve it. I really have put in the work, and I didn't get no passes, such as these other guys. I didn't get, I didn't have someone that looked after me such as like, we're going to pamper your record, and then they get you that big shot. It's like, I fought to get where I'm at, And I wouldn't want it no other way because this is how I grew up. I fought to get out the hood. I fought to get out of, a bunch of things. So I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining. But it's, when a person, when they work so hard, when they come to knock, and I think that someone should let them in and be like, all right, we should give them a shot, because I'm sure that that's where they came from. I'm sure that they work hard or whatever the case may be to get where they at. But now it's time to, turn it up the cheek and give me my shot.